If you've been in Cleveland in the past 70 years, you probably know this next gentleman. He was my high school teacher, English, and he has embarked in a new era of his life in writing fiction books. It's going to be a great discussion, and I'm really looking forward to it. So Ken, did you say you graduated in '64?
Correct, yep. 64.
At the old Bradley? Was it old Bradley at the time?
Oh, yeah. We were there. That was the year Bob Johnson, that group.
Bob Johnson.
Jimmy
Yep.
Logan, Sally Standifer, yeah.
My mother, I
And
guess, Juanita Owenby.
Yeah, Juanita Owenby was in that class, yes.
Does it seem like yesterday, or does it seem like a long time ago?
It seems pretty much like yesterday. I don't know where you ran into this as you're growing up or not, but when I was young, I used to hear older people tell me that as you get older, time goes faster. And I didn't think they knew what they were talking about, but boy, it does. As you get older, it just seems to pass quicker and quicker.
Is there a way to slow it down? Is staying busy make it go faster, or staying busy make it go slower? Which is it?
I think if you just sit and wait on things, that your time goes quicker and you run out of time. I think you need to stay as active as you can, as long as you can.
On the Courthouse Square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland-Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
I heard a saying this morning, I can't remember what it was. It said, the moving finger writes. I think what it meant was that somebody that's trying does more than somebody that doesn't. In other words, the moving finger writes, the still finger doesn't write.
Right. If you get still, you don't accomplish much.
You don't accomplish much.
Right. Yeah.
So when you graduated, were you going to be into? You graduated as in English, or was it? Let's see. What was you graduated in?
Okay, I went to Lee and graduated with a degree in English, teaching degree, and got my teaching degree and began teaching. Then I got a master's at Middle Tennessee, the Blue Raider country there, and health, PE, health, safety, recreation. And then I got a doctorate at UTK in education with an emphasis in educational technology.
What does a doctorate mean?
It's just another ceiling that you go through in education. It's I guess a terminal degree in the fact that you've gone pretty much as far as you can. Now you can get other doctorates, or you can go back and get masters, but a doctorate's considered the highest degree, I guess, that you can get.
I've always wondered, what does a PhD mean?
Doctor of Philosophy.
So it's not, well?
There's different types of doctors, okay? PhD, or you can get a medical degree. Mine obviously was in education. It's an EDD, Doctor of Education.
So you can't get a PhD in education?
It would be an EDD.
Oh, I see.
In education, yeah.
So did you? I noticed where did you coach under Steve Williams?
I was his assistant there.
Which Steve Williams was that? The chiropractor?
Yeah, the little bitty great athlete.
My chiropractor.
I guess so.
Yeah,
He's out of business now.
Yeah,
But,
just like in the last 6 or 8 months.
yeah,
I go to his brother Steve now.
you go to Mark.
Mark, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I
yeah.
always got their names mixed up.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was.
Steve is the main one, according to Mark, I guess.
I don't know. Steve was always more mellow to me, I thought. But boy, they were both great guys.
Yeah,
weren't
they were. The whole family of Williams is there. Terry and their sister.
I heard the story of Steve on the football team. He was going against a huge, I guess, running back or something, and they came back and both of them just tucked their heads under and hit like that, and the big guy just fell, and Steve was still standing there.
I don't doubt that. He was a great athlete.
Was he just agile?
He was agile and confident and mean, and mean on the court or on the field. But
They could golf.
He
They
wouldn't-
could play ball, baseball, basketball, football.
yeah, but he didn't back down from anybody. I've heard some tales from him, but I probably wouldn't share them on air here. But he was I guess he was Carson Newman, and was a really good athlete there when he was playing basketball.
You know, you're sort of as much known for being in athletics almost as much as you are a teacher.
Well, I played basketball at Lee when I went there. Was a point guard on that team. We had a great team there with Dizzy Ford and Crabble Walston, Ken Walston, Boog Sherlin played
Steve
with us.
Sloan, was he in that group?
Sloan was not. Sloan was. He didn't go to Lee, but now Sloan at Bradley when we were there. Sloan was a senior when I was a sophomore, but at Lee then we won. I guess my senior year, we won the first national championship that had ever been earned from anybody from Bradley County. I think we won a National Christian College championship my senior year, and 2 years we were known as a running team. 2 years for 2 years we averaged over 100 points a game. Had David Montgomery there, played with us. David's best shooter I've ever seen, ever played with. He could fill it up. If he had, and that was before the 3-point shots. If we'd had 3-point shots back then, there's no telling what he would have averaged. But he can fill it up. Yeah.
Were athletes as good then as they are now?
It depends on who you ask. People now don't think they were. Now you've got the benefit of probably better facilities and weight training and all those kinds of things that weren't as available back when we were there. And I say that because I remember in high school, junior high school, Bob Johnson worked out almost every day at the Y, and of course you know what he became at UT, and then was a first draft choice I think for Cincinnati, and played in pros for several years. But he would come in. I worked at the Y some at that time, and he would come in and work out almost daily, while everybody else his age was out partying, running around, playing, and all that. But Bob was dedicated, and it paid off for him. You know.
Why were you in sports so much? You just enjoyed the
I
camaraderie,
did.
or what?
I grew up in the old field, if you know where the old field is, over around
Troy
Black
Dixon
Avenue.
grew up over there, didn't he?
Who?
Troy Dixon.
Do
you ever know Troy?
Yeah, I think so. Grew up over there. Family didn't have a whole lot of money. Sports was a way that I could participate and feel like I kind of belonged, I guess. So at an early age, I started playing, baseball, basketball, whatever. But
Did you go to Arnold, I guess, if you were in the old field?
I was in the first class at Arnold when I went to Blythe Avenue as in elementary school, and then our 8th grade year, we transitioned over. Arnold opened up and went to Arnold at that time. It became a junior high. And
Is that right? Arnold School was a junior high at one time.
Yep, 7, 8, and 9, and then I finished up in ninth grade there, and then went to Bradley, and then I went to Lee. Then began to.
Did you play sports at Lee?
Yeah, I played basketball there. That's where we won the national championship there. Played basketball. That's the only sport we had. Technically, although one year we, remember my junior or senior year, Coach Hughes, Dale Hughes, decided we were going to play baseball, and we got a baseball team up, and it wasn't sanctioned by the president of the school and so forth, but we played a doubleheader against, I guess it was Bryan, and we split with them a doubleheader same day, and the write-up got in the paper, and the hierarchy at Lee saw that and called Dale in and said, your baseball season's over. That was before they really wanted to get big into sports like they are now. But technically, I played on the first baseball team at Lee, too.
So Dale Hughes was a coach then?
Yeah, Dale was a coach. Bradley, he coached at, before he went to Bradley as principal, he coached there at Lee in basketball, and then, like I said, that one day of baseball.
Did you think when I get out of high school or college, I'm going to go teach at Bradley High School? Was that your goal, or did it just sort of end up that way?
It ended up that way. When I got out, I had a secondary degree, which I could teach anything from 7 through 12 at that time. And so I started at Hopewell and coached there, taught in 7th and 8th grades at that time. And originally coached the boys basketball, but then, and Don Farmer coached the girls, but then he left the coaching ranks, and I began coaching the girls also. In fact, Data Caldwell I coached. I think she still holds the record at Bradley High School for the number of points that was scored.
So you were her first coach?
I was her first coach, yeah. And she was a little interesting story about Data. I coached her cousin Donna played with me, and she was 1 or 2 years ahead of Data. And she told me about Data and said, you need to get her out here. She was a pretty good sized girl, 5'10" or so in the 6th grade. Mm-hmm. And just a lanky old farm girl, basically. And when I say old farm girl, I don't mean anything negative. That's a positive,
yeah.
But I went to her and said, Data, how about coming out for basketball, And she said, I can't. And then I said, why not? She said, I've got piano on Wednesdays, and I can't miss that. So I tried to talk her into it, and she wouldn't budge, and talked to Donna some more. And I went back to her, and I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. I said, you come out for basketball, and you don't have to come Wednesday. You go do your piano. And we finally agreed that she would do that, and she became a great basketball player, even in 7th and 8th grade out there. And then, like I said, she
still holds the record after all these years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you go to school with my dad? He would have been about your age. Bob Burris?
I did. Probably wasn't around him a lot, but I remember him.
It was a big school, I guess, at that time even, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember how many. We had 300 or 400 people graduating at that time at Bradley, yeah. And at that time, and that was probably just 10 through 12 because Arnold had opened up. Mm-hmm. I don't remember whether they had a 9th grade still at Bradley or not because Arnold would have been a city school. But I guess they had a 9th grade at Bradley. But I went to Arnold. I was being in the old field. I was a city boy, I guess. But we had I can't call the number now, but it was pretty big.
Do you ever go down through the old field now and remember?
Every once in a while, I'll drive through there.
Is it sad or is it?
Of course, a lot of places are not there anymore. But I can still
What
recognize.
would you consider is the old field?
Probably, and I don't know whether this is technically correct by people that do the maps and those kind of things, but I would think from 9th Street there up through and past Blythe Avenue School and in that area there.
Hardwick Street,
Yeah,
guess.
Hardwick Street,
Chippewa.
9th Street. Golly, I don't even remember some of those now, but
Why'd they call it the Old Field? I've heard that term my whole life.
you know what? I don't know, but that's what I've always heard it called.
I've heard it called that forever.
Whether it was one of the first areas in Cleveland, I don't really know.
I think Troy told me that it was some houses that one of the manufacturing plants built houses on King Edward, and they
Okay.
called it 10 row because there were houses 10 in a row,
Okay.
and it was an old field that they built the houses on. And I think that's where
That
it gets
could
the
be
terms.
that could very well. That sounds logical. Yeah, I know that some of those big companies used to build housing
Yeah.
for their employees. Yeah,
Did you ever walk from there to school
about
did you go-
every day.
every day? So you
I
walked.
I didn't of a morning, but in the afternoon, I guess my mom would take me of a morning most of the time when I was going to Arnold, and then even Bradley. But I would have a ride in the morning, and she would go to work. And she worked at the old Duplan corporation there that threaded, used cones to thread, and so forth. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of money. I remember when she got above 10 cents an hour, working there. But I would have a ride in the morning. Then afternoon, I was always practicing something. So every afternoon, basically, I'd walk home then from either Arnold or.
From Bradley High, where it was at the time, that would have been a good 40-minute walk, I guess.
It
wouldn't
probably was. There were 3 or 4 of us, I guess, that had a daily walk there from that area to over that way. But that was. I could tell you it was all uphill and full of snow, but
Did you have a lot of homework back in those days? I mean, did you have to go to get home from practice and then do homework, or was it just?
I had some, depending on the classes.
But it wasn't like when I went to high school. When I went to Cleveland, they gave you so much homework, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Just no point.
Back then we had a study hall, and if we didn't want to just goof off in study
Yeah.
hall, I could get a lot of that stuff done during study hall. So
Were you big in education? Is that why you wanted to be in education?
no, not really. I always made decent grades, but I never excelled. I didn't put that much emphasis on it, and nobody in my family had ever gone past the 6th grade, I guess, at that time, and so I really didn't understand that. There was better things if you made straight A's and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I made decent grades, and I don't know that I've ever failed a class. But I didn't intend to go into education at that time. But when I got a chance to go to Lee and then play basketball, then that's kind of where things led me then to get into education. And I did it partly because I wanted to do some coaching too. I still was involved in athletics a lot.
The teaching, did you always teach English pretty much at Bradley?
I did, even though I had a master's in PE and was coaching. They didn't have a lot of male teachers in English department, and I was certified, so I really didn't have much of a chance to teach PE, and I don't know that I would have chosen to do that anyway, because I enjoyed the English. I guess I was an anomaly there that did some coaching and teaching in that kind of a department also.
Is English, do you think of English classes more of prepositional phrases, or do you think of it more as speeches and writing?
We did the grammar, but that was kind of a necessary evil, I guess, at that time. But my English teaching at Bradley, the classes I enjoyed the most, we had some electives for a few years there, like science fiction and whodunit and mystery stories
I had
and all that.
whodunit.
Yeah, and I enjoyed those more than I did teaching the grammar and basically that's because you can make it more interesting, and kids enjoyed it better. Yeah.
Your class was very calm. I don't know what about it, but it was just calm. I mean, it was just calm. I always remember that. It was the calmest class I ever had. It was just, I don't know, it was just calm. Just didn't dread it.
Because everybody was sleeping in there. No.
No, I think it was just a calm environment, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Did you try to do that, or is that just your demeanor?
That probably my demeanor, and the kids I had, they were, and I'm gonna say y'all, but you know, y'all were good kids and didn't really want to cause a problem.
Nobody,
you know,
no.
and I think y'all came in. Whether you respected me or not, you acted like you did, and I think it went both ways, and I think it was just a good combination there of having good kids and trying to make the classes halfway interesting for you, and we did a lot. I don't remember in your class or not, but we did a lot of group work too.
Yep.
Where I let kids work together and devise some projects and those kind of things. I didn't just sit and talk all period and say you take notes and all that. I never did think we got much out of that. I didn't when I was a student, and I didn't feel like you would as when I was a teacher then.
Do you think people has missed the English language? Now, I'll hear people, and I even hear myself pronouncing stuff wrong, and I know it's the wrong way, but I do it anyway, but I know the right way, and I don't know if people now know the right way.
Well, we're from East Tennessee. We never did know the right way. There's not as much emphasis on that, I don't think.
I don't think there is either.
I don't think you focus on it in school as much, and then everybody's got these things right here that they abbreviate and
brief, yeah,
and then do it as quickly as they can.
And a lot of times we're just talking into the phone, and it may not even come out.
Right.
Sometimes I'll look at it and say, "Well, I missed the prepositional phrase," because I remember my 64 prepositions.
You got a good memory then. I edit for authors all over the world. I do that more than I do my own writing.
Hadn't you edited for several, so many countries or something like that?
I've edited for authors from over 13 or more countries. Now their work is in English. Almost always. I did edit or format a lady's book one time in German, but I'd already edited in English, and then she wanted me to come back and format the German to match it. So that was kind of a unique experience.
How do they find you?
I've got a gig on Fiverr, Fiverr, which is a place that lets freelancers work through them, and they've got a worldwide presence. So most of the time I go through Fiverr where they find me on there, and I've got a 5-star rating there, and then a top rating.
So you're like a freelance. You'll edit it for. Do you have to bid on that, or you just set your price up?
Well, I give them a sample price, but I always tell them that before I give you a price and a timeline, I have to see a copy or a sample of your work, because they can range from decent writing where there's still going to be a few errors, but it can range from one guy I worked with. he gives me a book that's basically one run-on sentence almost, and he doesn't capitalize names or begins the sentences, or he doesn't capitalize.
So you're writing the book for him.
Well, he's got the story there, but I have to try to figure out who's saying what, and you know what the paragraph is supposed to be, and all of that. So obviously, I'm going to charge him more to edit the work than I would if I got one from you that was basically a pretty good written English paper. Did one from a guy in Japan one time, and he obviously English wasn't his first language, and he wasn't proficient in it. But it took me a while to figure out what he had to say too. But I guess the one I've enjoyed the most, I do some books for a guy in Scotland, and I've done probably 20 or 25 books for him, and his are good. He's getting to where he knows the English, you know, where to correct himself a lot. So it's not in many areas now as when I first started working with him. But I enjoy not only the editing because it's pretty straightforward, and I don't have to try to interpret anything before I edit it, and then the stories are good enough to be engaging also. So I enjoy doing those kind. But I do those, and I have edited for some people in the local area. Bill Stamps did a couple of books while he was alive that I helped with, and Marcia Harris. I don't know where you know Marcia or not, but she's from Bradley County, Cleveland. She doesn't live here now. She lives in Niceville area, I think, but she's written some books that I've helped her with, and just a few local people here, but mostly it's through Fiverr and out of town.
Now, what possessed you to start writing? You've not written one book. You've written 5, plus you're starting a new series.
That's correct. I've always been, as I said, when I grew up, we didn't have a lot of money, so other than athletics, I spent my time reading. We didn't have 50 channels on TV. Of course, now I pay for 150 and watch about 5 of them. That's about it.
So you read a lot growing up?
So I began reading when I was pretty young.
So just like my kids would watch TV, you would get a book out and read it?
I would read, particularly the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew mysteries. I've always liked the mysteries, which is where I've gone to with my own writing, thriller, mystery, and suspense. But I grew up reading those. And then I've always kind of wanted to try my hand at writing, and life just kept getting in the way, and I stayed so busy that I never did it. And I guess in maybe 14 of this century, I looked in the mirror and I said, "Oh man, if you're gonna do it, you better get busy." And so I started on my first one then.
What was your first step?
My first step was, and I pretty well knew where I was going as far as what genre, which is the mystery, thriller, suspense. The next step was, target audience, and it was going to be, people like me or adults that I wanted to write for, because that determines a lot of how you write a story.
So you first picked your audience, I guess.
Yeah, you need to know who you're writing for, because that determines what kind of vocabulary you use and all those kind of things, but and how complex the plot can be and all that stuff. But I did that, and then my wife and I went to Canada on vacation about 1999 or so, and we went into Nova Scotia as part of the trip, and around Lunenburg and Peggy's Cove in that area, we both just fell in love with it. We just loved that area. It was, not only scenic wise, it was beautiful, but the people were all friendly and so forth. So I had in mind if I ever wanted to write something, I wanted to do it, maybe set it there. And then,
Now, that's unusual because you weren't from there, so you
No.
had to be creative on that end too, right?
well, I visited there's a lot of research going into it and get into that maybe a little bit later, but I got where I wanted to be, but I still really didn't know the story. And while I was at Bradley teaching, Miss Wright, who taught American history, and I taught American English,
I remember her.
American Lit, and she did the American history. We both were in the career ladder program, and we decided together that we were going to take some students up to the New England area around Boston and that area, because a lot of authors were from that area from my standpoint, Hawthorne and a lot of those people. And then that was obviously the cradle of the American history part of it. So we, about 6-7 years or so, we took a group of students up there after school, about a 10-day trip, I guess it was. And as part of that trip, we went through Washington, D.C. on the way up to Boston one year, and we visited a statue called the Awakening. And it's this giant statue that's lying in the ground, half buried, with an arm sticking up, one arm raised to the sky like he's reaching for the sky. And it's called the Awakening, which is basically a picture that I took that's on that book right there. But so I had that in my mind about that being unique. And then I found out later that Oak Island was right there in the Lunenburg area in Canada. And Oak Island, are you familiar with that?
Skinwalker. That's Skinwalker Ranch.
No, that's in I guess Arizona or Utah, Arizona. But it is the place where supposedly there's a buried treasure there that people have been looking for 200 years. And in fact, they've got a TV series, The Curse of Oak Island.
I've seen that. So many people have died after
right.
they get so.
They've been looking for that. Initially, they thought that treasure was buried by pirates, Captain Kidd in particular, maybe. And when I started doing research, I found out that right there in Oak Island, right in the Lunenburg area, there was this big, supposedly treasure that people had been looking for 200 years now. So I said, well, that's the three things I want in that first book that I wrote. I've got the setting, which is Lunenburg, Oak Island now area, the statue that I wanted to incorporate in it called The Awakening, and then the fact that the treasure was there. So I used those three things together to come up with that first synopsis or idea for my first book, and begin writing there. As I did the research, I found out that the treasure was probably 99.9% of everything I found in doing the research was that it was probably done by the pirates, buried by pirates. Somewhere I found just an obscure note that somebody had written that said, wait a minute, maybe it's not the pirates, it may have been the Knights Templar. So that's even more significant to me. So I started my research toward that way and found out that in 1307, the Knights Templar, they were at full bloom then. They had started as protection for people traveling, you know, at
And
back at that time.
supposedly they had the Holy Grail, right?
They had collected untold riches, and they had gotten so powerful and so wealthy that King Philip of France decided, I'm going to cut them off. So he said that we're going to get all of our armies together, and we're going to purge the land of that group of knights.
He slaughtered them, didn't he?
And he slaughtered what he could, he did, but they got wind that he was going to do that, and a lot of them escaped and supposedly escaped with a lot of their treasure. So I said, well, that fits right in with what I want to do then. So I had them escaping from there and going to New Scotland, which is Nova Scotia, and burying their treasure there. So that's where I came up with that. And a funny thing, that after I published the book, and I published it in right at the beginning of 2015, I guess, and I found out later that they had the series on TV, The Curse of Oak Island, so I went back and started watching it, and they never mentioned the Knights Templar until a little bit later on, way after I had published my book. But I got a 1 rating on Amazon, and this lady gave me a 1 because she said I had been watching that series and gotten my idea for the Knights Templar from them, and all she had to do was look at the dates and realize that I had published that book before they ever said anything on TV about the Knights Templar.
It's almost like thinking through fiction. Almost is thinking through reality. Does that make sense?
Well, it does, because you want your stories to be,
I mean,
believable.
And that may be what actually happens after you think what would be believable.
Right. Of course, this was published 6-7 years ago.
That was the first one?
That was the first one. And
now Kent and Landers, they are in all of these, right? That's the Kent Landers series.
right, yeah, Phil Kent and his wife Cindy, and then Bill Lander. They are the major characters in all of them. Although
these
it's a
5.
series, all 5 of these books, but they're not. They're all standalone stories. They're each their own story.
Well, see,
So-
now I'm reading right now the Superstition. First thing I noticed was it's really easy to read. The letters are spaced good, and the fonts are easy to read. But you really give these characters. It's all dialogue. It's them talking, the other person talking. I mean, it's like you really sort of become there.
Well, that's what I want it to be. Now you can get tied up too much in dialogue and not have the action, but as an author, you don't want to just give a lot of narrative without, and by that, there's a phrase called show, don't tell, okay? So you want to show what they're doing rather than just sitting here and tell you what they've done. Okay?
Like maybe Landers and his crooked grin. You know, you're descriptive of the person,
Right.
to the point where I'm seeing his crooked grin.
Yeah,
But this is in, like they mentioned Phoenix and Arizona, and they go to meet Cindy at the airport, and they're going back out to the mountain, and
right.
so are they the same? So are they still? Is this, you say they're standalone, but
The characters are basically the same, okay? But the stories are completely different. It's like you may build 5 different projects here in the county, and they're all built by you, but they all are maybe different types of things going on. You don't have to know about this one to understand this one.
Right.
Okay. So it's
Yeah, the only reason I knew they were connected is because it says the series. It says the series.
Right.
But so I don't need to connect this to Nova Scotia.
no, that one doesn't have anything to do with
I
Nova
see.
Scotia.
Yeah.
Okay. In a couple of them, I may just have one of the characters to mention, an earlier adventure that they had, maybe in Nova Scotia, or an earlier adventure somewhere.
But you write very descriptive, as if you're painting a picture for the person.
Well, you try to do that because you don't want it to be like a old dry, and sorry for the historians here, but you don't want it to sound like a old dry history book, where you're just saying this, and everything's bland, but you want it to be interesting enough that you become engaged with the characters and then the story itself.
In your mind, are you sitting out at the Old Phil on a Saturday night with nothing else to do, and you pick up a book and you're reading an adventure story, and you want that guy that's doing that today to enjoy that like you did then?
Right. Yeah, that's what I would look. Although not as many people read today, I don't think, is what they do. Of course, I've been out of school a long time, and I've got friends that probably have not read a book since they graduated from high school.
Yeah, I don't know. And if they do it through Kindle or something.
Yeah.
Are any of these on audio?
None of them are on audio. That's a pretty expensive proposition.
If you read it yourself, is it?
No, I could do that, and I've thought about doing that, but I really have never had the good enough facilities, I guess, to do that. You'd have to have a good setup as far as microphone and the good,
Audio.
be able to control the audio and all that. But I've thought about doing that. But now, just recently, there's some people that started toying with the idea of letting AI do it, or artificial intelligence, and that's gotten a lot better than what it used to be. It used to sound everything like a computer, just...
They've about solved that, hadn't they?
Yeah, they've about solved that, because 15 out of the 18 calls I get a day are computers talking to me, I guess.
I get to where I'm not sure if I'm talking to a computer or not.
I'm not either. In fact, I say a lot of times, I said, is this a computer or are you a person?
I got mad at one of them on the phone the other day, and I said, give me a computer. I
go.
thought, well, that'd be smarter than the one I'm talking to.
Right, yeah.
Used to it was give me a real person.
Right, yeah. Real person in this country, not
Yeah.
somebody in India somewhere that you can't understand.
Do you think they'd ever this would be a good TV series?
I think it would be, but now this the people that do those kind of things, you've got to have contacts. It's and I don't, I know a lot of writers, and I'm not including myself in this, but I know a lot of really good writers that never get a chance to do some of those kind of things because they don't have the contacts.
They're busy and everything, yeah.
And, living down here in East Tennessee, we don't have the big media contacts that people maybe in New York or LA or some of those kind of places may have.
It is handicap. It does handicap, no matter what you say. If we were living in a big town, then you would have somebody down the road that was into the making movies or making films or whatever.
Yeah.
But down here, it's just who published the book? Who'd you get to print it?
Amazon.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, their publishing platform at Amazon is KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, and I've used them all, and they're indie publishing, meaning that I'm doing it myself. I'm not going through an agent and a publishing company and all that, which you used to couldn't do, but you can now. And when I first started, I thought everybody had to do like traditional publishing, where you got an agent and you went through a
Publicist
publishing
or something.
company, Random House, or one
Yeah.
of their smaller imprints or whatever. But even now, from all of my research, and I'm not belittling them because they still do a good job, but they may do 6 books a year, and they may already have what type book they want, what genre, and if they decide they want to look at yours even and put it on the list, then it may be 2, 3, or 4 years down the road before they come back to that one, because they need one in that genre now. And then, people think when you publish, you get a big advance payment, like a $10,000 advance or whatever. Very few people get any advance at all anymore.
That's only
The big names,
like,
Grissom and some of those,
yeah.
They I'm sure they
they
get
pay them in advance to write a book,
Right, yeah,
or if you're a state senator or something, maybe.
right, yeah.
Probably
You got
not
a big-
even them. Probably not even them.
You got a big name, a lot of these celebrities will publish a book, and probably 99 point something of them have never written the book themselves. They hire a ghostwriter or somebody to write it for them, and then they put their name on it, but their name sells it,
So how do you get off? And does it matter? Does it matter? I guess it does, because you'd want to say, well, I was a success at it, right?
Yeah, it's obviously you'd like to become a bestseller,
Yeah.
but the chances of somebody, like I said, down here in Cleveland, Tennessee, doing that are very slim. Even if you got an agent or whatever to do it, and they publish your book, before they publish it now, they look at the person and see what kind of potential I have to go out and sell and market the book myself. Used to they would do all the marketing, and they probably still do for the Grissoms and those kind of people. But for somebody, a first-time author, they would expect that first-time author to go out and do the marketing, him or herself.
It's almost an impossible task, isn't it? nowadays?
It is, although it's the easiest time in the history to publish a book yourself, but it's probably the hardest time in the history.
Because there's fewer people doing it.
Yeah.
What about the lady that did the Harry Potter? She was a nobody, right?
Right. And I think, sometimes a lot of those people got multiple rejections before they ever found somebody that said, all right, we're going to publish this book for you, and it takes, and like I said, I know a lot of good authors that have not gotten there, but it takes somebody somewhere with the right contact or the right voice to say, hey, this person is good. We're going to work with you and do this. But the chances of that person coming from an area like Cleveland, unless they know somebody big somewhere that can advocate for them, it's probably not going to happen. On Amazon, anybody can publish a book on Amazon if you go through the right situation.
Can you buy them on Amazon?
Yeah, you buy them on Amazon. You can buy them either in print or electronically, Kindle books.
So yours, you can go online and buy them now.
Yeah, you can go and buy them now. See, and that's the thing about doing them yourself, indie publishing in a place like that. if they'll go through and check for basic areas and make sure everything's the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and those kind of things. But I can post a book that I've completed and it's been edited and ready to go. I can post it on Amazon, and in 2 or 3 days it can be for sale on Amazon. Whereas if somebody were doing it through an agent and publishing them, it may take a year or 2 years or longer to do that. So Amazon is the easiest way to publish a book. But when you do, you're sitting there with no telling how many other million books that they've got for sale.
And how would they find yours?
That's the problem.
It would have to be
Yeah.
suggestive.
Yeah.
Like I guess they send it to people that have bought fiction books before, I guess, and run it across them.
If I'm looking to buy a book, and I buy quite a few, I still read a lot, but I'll go on Amazon and I'll look, and if it's not an author that I'm necessarily looking for, I'll choose the genre and say I want it to be this, I want it to be this, and then they'll give me a list of hundreds of books that I could go through that would match that. And the ones at the top of that list are the ones that have sold the best, obviously, I guess. So,
I don't think it's the ones that are paid to be there. I believe it's the ones that, like I'll say, I'll buy a pair of boots and it'll say people that bought these boots also purchased this.
Right, yeah.
And then, it's a pair of socks.
Right, yeah. They, of course, they do some ratings on there too. I guess 1 through 5, with 5 being the best, 5 stars. These all are 4.2 up through 5.
I noticed that on there. I looked it up I know it's 4 to 5 on all of them.
Yeah, and if you look at that 4, they round it down to 4, but I think it's a 4.2.
Right.
But which is pretty good. Compared with big name authors, it's right there with them. Now I don't mean to imply that my books are as good as Cussler's or some of those.
But you're getting as good a ratings.
But I'm getting good ratings. I just don't have enough sales, to put me up there with
And maybe that comes after 10 years or 20 years.
It's not a quick thing. Most people that publish one book there, they say the best way to start selling that one book is to get another book right there. Because I don't know where people don't want to start a new author with that author having just one book or not. But it helps when there's more than a book for someone to look at and choose.
Boy, that's a tough business, isn't it?
It is, and that's why I'm doing so much editing for other people, because my books, although they've been well received, and ratings wise they're good, they don't sell like a Cussler or a Box or some of those.
Tom Clancy.
Yeah, they just, those people.
Well, and it makes you wonder if they just advertise it more.
That's part of it.
It's got to be something.
Yeah.
If Johnny Carson hadn't advertised the Tonight Show, people would quit watching.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah. And that's a lot of it, but advertising costs a lot of money, and in order to get it in the right places. Now, I do some advertising through online advertising, but it's not enough to really reach the number of people that it needs to do that. But
would you say you just enjoy it and it doesn't matter?
well, I enjoy it. It does matter, but I enjoy it enough to keep doing it, even though I'm not a bestseller, I guess. But you know, I guess if you're writing, you hope that there may be the right person somewhere along the line picks it up and reads it and say, hey, you know, we need to. I've got some things that can help you or whatever. But
Wouldn't it be something if somebody called and said, hey, we want to put this on HBO series?
yeah, that'd be all right. Yeah, and I've got a few author friends or people that I'm acquainted with that have done that, but they're typically not from small markets like this area right here. But
How about if you go to book signings or something, or you know, go to the Books a Million or something?
we've done a few things through the library down here, but Books a Million out here. I've tried to work with them, and every time I get somebody that says, "Yeah, we'll carry your books, or we can set up something," they seem to get a new person in there in charge, a new director.
I think maybe they had to pay to be on their shelves nearly, like a grocery store.
I don't know that they have to pay, but it's hard for new people to work into that, particularly if they don't have some big company somewhere. You know, that's where if you had a Random House or one of these big publishing companies, they could say, you know, we've got this, we want this out here. But just an independent author, it's tough to get in those big.
So do you have one web page that people could go to and purchase them, or does it have to go through Amazon?
They can always contact me and purchase them through me.
Or go to Amazon and type in author?
Yeah, they can go to Amazon and type in C.K. Phillips, which is what I write under, C.K. Phillips, and they should come up. Even if they don't know the title, then they should come up there.
What's the next series?
The next series, I've started a book and I'm about 2/3 to 3/4 finished with a new series or a new book in a new series, and it's going to be a man and woman working together to solve cases, not through police departments. The fact the lady is from California and worked in the service out there and got tired of dealing with all of the junk, I guess, that comes along with that area of the country with so many illegal aliens and so forth. That she decided she wanted to leave, and she finally decided to move to Knoxville, and her name is Abby, and then her cohort, the guy, there's another guy, and they're both single, but have a little bit of romance involved with them, and
I guess you got to throw that in there nowadays, don't you?
throw it in. It's just mostly not any. The story's not about the romance at all. It's just the fact that they're together. But
A little tension, maybe.
yeah, and so this guy is a former special ops guy that's retired and has moved to
Just like
Cleveland.
Kent, just like Kent and Landers, right?
Pretty much, although Kent is just technically he's an author.
Yeah, he's writing, and Landers is showing him the ropes
Right.
and how things go, and
Right.
giving him some language, I guess.
Yeah, and teaching him, teaching him a lot of the stuff that he can include in the books.
Yeah.
But
I thought that was interesting. It was a book about a guy that's writing a book.
yeah, he's the guy writes books, but he's not necessarily, although at some point he'll write a book about that story that they're involved in, because it's hopefully so interesting that it's worth writing about. But back to my other guy, the other one is, of course, Abby, and then this guy is a former Army operative that has moved to Cleveland and has bought a ranch with some horses here and retired here, and they met on the Appalachian Trail one time, and she found out that he had been a special operative, and she talked him into helping her with a case that she was involved in. She's a freelancer now. She does her own.
And there's a lot of those out there now, those freelance investigators.
Right.
So I know what you're talking about. Some of those have really solved a lot of cases.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, particularly when you get into the police have got so much to do, and something looks like it's not any foul play involved with it, and the family is convinced that there may be, and they hire somebody to really check into it. So that's kind of where this
Sort of
story
reminds me of Rockford Files. Remember Rockford
Oh,
Files?
yeah.
He was kind of a hired private investigator. Remember that at the beginning, that he'd have the answer machine beep and says, "You've reached Jim You've reached Jim Rockford.
Rockford, yeah.
Please leave a message," or something. That was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it's just been a long time since I've thought about that, but yeah, that's kind of what it is. And
What's your writing process? Do you go sit at the kitchen table, or you get in a room quiet, or how do you do that?
I usually sit down either at not much at a desk. Most of the time, just in a recliner and put my computer on me, and I start working.
You're not writing with pen and paper. You're
actually typing on a computer. I don't know if I could read my writing anymore or not if I wrote it.
I've noticed that authors, people that write, are always interested in the other writer's process.
Right.
That's a big deal to them. They always say, "What's your process?" This one goes out of town for the weekend. This one sits in a recliner at his house, and this one goes to. So you sit and you turn the TV off. Or you have any music playing?
Most of the time it's off, but sometimes I'll put one of those channels with just music on it, real low in the background, just as a little bit of background noise there, I guess. And other than that, it's just.
Can you feel when you're in the zone?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because when you're writing a story like that, and you're talking about 85,000 words or more, or something like that in the book, you get to a point to where I call it that the characters take over the story, and it's almost like they're writing the story then instead of you, because you get into their minds, and this character's reacting to what happened here, and you just let him go with the flow, or her go with the flow there. And once you get to that point in the story, it's a lot easier to do.
So you're seeing the story. See, when I'm like here on Saturdays and I'm estimating the plans, and I can tell when I don't want to do it. But when I get in the zone, I'm literally building the house as I'm going.
Right.
And I'm doing, and I'm assuming that you can get in those zones too, where it's just okay. In other words, I'm estimating how it's going, and you're writing how it's going,
right?
And you're not even really making it go anymore. You're just
kind of getting out of the way and letting it flow.
Just putting it down. And,
right.
And boy, when you get in that zone, you know it, don't you?
Oh, sure, yeah. Now I'll typically write a real broad outline of where I want to go with the story, but not get into a lot of detail. So when I get to this point right here and the characters kind of take over, then I go with them rather than what I may even have written down.
You may
here.
even go, not even deal with
Right,
that.
yeah. And they may take me a completely different way. And once you get to that point, it's a lot more enjoyable and it's a lot easier writing that way.
Is there a formula? I've always heard that there was a formula for writing, and for even some people even go so far as to say this is even how things go in life. But you'll have the heroes. You'll see the background of the hero, then the hero's going forward, then they have a catastrophe, and then the catastrophe looks like there's no possible way it's going to come out, and then the hero is victorious. Do you go along with that, or do you?
That, basically, it depends on the genre you're doing, what type of story it is, and the thriller, mystery, suspense. You do that, and you're conscious of going through that, but you can't take a lot of time in the initial beginning to build up to finally something happening. You've got to almost have something happen right away.
Or you'll lose them.
Or you'll lose them, yeah. Now, back years and years ago, all of the really classic stories and all those big stories from that we used to have to study in school and all that, the authors could spend the first 100 pages describing things without really getting into something happening in a story. Can't do that anymore.
Like on Walden's Pond, I've noticed that he just goes into describing so much about the startup that he starts to lose me
Right.
by the time I get into him.
Yeah, and if you go through books now, readers don't want to spend a lot of time, and I'm the same way. I don't either. I don't want to spend a lot of time in the beginning of a book just reading description after description after description. I want to know what happens. I want to know what the problem is really quick. Somewhere real quick. There's got to be some kind of initial incident there that, oh, here's going to be the problem. Here's what we've got to solve.
Now, does that problem a lot of times have to be current issues? I mean, if you was to write a book about a cowboy that's going to rope a horse, nobody would really say, oh, well, he lost the horse. But do you have to bring it in today's thinking? Does that make sense?
It does, and you pretty well have to, because a lot of people don't read anymore to begin with. Mm-hmm. And the people that do read want to get to the problem, the story itself, really what's going on in this story, not just a lot of description and setting up of what may happen later. Now, you can do a little bit of that, but somewhere there pretty quick, something's got to happen that catches the reader's attention that, oh, here's the problem right here, or here is a problem.
Or the situation.
The situation that this character is going to face or is facing. And
does it need to be a relevant situation?
It depends on the genre. It needs to be something that a reader can identify with.
Yeah.
And not completely get them off. Now, if you get into really some types of science fiction, maybe not. But if, as far as these kind of books, there needs to be something happen right at the beginning that the reader realizes this is the problem.
Like in the Superstitions, he was being chased by foot through the water,
right,
through the creek to lose the dogs. And I didn't even know what that was about in the beginning when I started reading it, but it did capture me. What's he doing running from these dogs?
Right. Yeah. That's you want something pretty quick, some kind of action that's going to get the reader engaged. That's here's a problem here. How's he going to get out of this, or how's she going to work through this, or what's going to happen, rather than spending page after page talking about how tall he is and what he looks like and what he does for a living and all those kind of things. Readers
Now you
don't
said
do
that,
that anymore.
you got into that later after you
right.
the hook, I
and
guess.
you try to do it in stages too. You don't want to spend just a long, even later after you've got the hook there. You don't want to spend a lot of pages or time talking about the character or describing something. You want to introduce it into sections, ideally as part of what's going on there. Then the character may face something there that tells you that he's 6 feet tall and whatever, but you don't want to spend just a lot of time describing how things look or the characters.
Just
or
pepper
whatever.
it in, I guess.
Right, pepper it in. Try to make it part of a logical reaction to what's going on or what's happening.
Was reading your escape in any way? Fiction?
Probably was and probably is. Yeah. Like I said, we didn't have a lot of TV choices. I spent.
What was on TV of an evening during that era? Or what? Well, I don't know. I guess 60, 62, 63. What would have been on TV?
There wasn't much I liked. I guess, I don't know when Bonanza started and some of those kinds of shows.
Gunsmoke, was it on?
Gunsmoke may have been
So
on.
maybe black and white.
Yeah,
Andy
black
Griffith.
and white. And you go out and you might even may not even know what I'm talking about, and you go out and twist the antenna that's set out there and twist it till you get that other two or the other one channel or one of the other.
There was only, what'd you have, three?
Three, maybe two most of the time.
Mine was 3, 9, and 12, and 61 but there wasn't anything on 61.
Right, yeah.
But what was on of an evening?
You know what I did most of the evening? I'd either read or I'd listen to WLS out of Chicago, radio. I listened to a lot of radio.
Music?
Music, yeah.
So at night there it was not common to watch TV at night, like from 7 to 10.
Not for a lot of people.
Was TV just didn't come in clear and there wasn't nothing on, or what was it?
All of the above. There really was very few choices, one or two, and you twist the antenna outside.
And it was the news, I guess, some of the news.
And there really wasn't anything that was, other than on Saturday morning for cartoons, that was geared toward kids, I guess.
So even though it was on, there wasn't. So reading was Was that reading a big deal for a lot of people then?
Probably. It probably was. Now.
Did you get the books from the library?
Yep.
At the old library?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I probably had read every Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew stories there were at that time, and
Nancy Drew, she wrote Hardy Boys. Is that right, or was that two different? Hardy Boys was separate.
Nancy Drew was a separate series written by somebody else, I guess, and it was a female star, protagonist in the story. She solved these little mysteries like the Hardy Boys did, so those were the two big ones that I grew up with.
Didn't they both get their own TV series?
They may have.
I think maybe the Hardy Boys did.
Yeah.
What'd you call them? Antagonist? Protagonist?
Protagonists. The pro meaning four are good guys. Okay, and
Like the white hats?
yeah, and the antagonists are the
Oh, I
people that
see.
oppose them.
Protagonist and
The bad guys. The protagonists were the good guys. The antagonists were the people that caused the problems, antagonized them. Okay, so there may have been things on in the afternoon, but we weren't inside in the afternoon. When we came home from school, and if I got home before dark because of practice or whatever, in the summer, I wasn't in the house. We were outside doing something.
Like what?
Playing basketball on that basketball outside court, fishing. Ray Bennett, one of my friends, we used to do a lot of basketball, and we'd go fishing all the time.
Was it over there at the old field?
Yeah. Now he didn't live there. He lived out on Dalton Pike just a little bit, but
Bennett Acres, I guess, is where that came from. Maybe Bennett. No, that was where Bennett Acres.
He lived. Now that's a different set of Bennetts.
Oh, okay.
Brenda Bennett and Catherine and that group lived out there where the Bennett Acres are. Now Ray Bennett was a cousin, and they lived right there on Dalton Pike, make that curve when you go past the line.
Where would y'all go fishing over there?
Ray's dad was an electrician in Bradley County, and he knew everybody and had been everywhere, and he knew where all the lakes were. And because Ray was his son, we used to know where all the little fishing lakes were in Bradley County. And then as we got older, we went out to B&B Marina out in that area, not the marina then, but out at the river there. And we'd camp out a lot of times and fish and so forth there. But we did that, and we go explore. There were a couple of caves here in Bradley County that we'd go explore. One on Hancock's Cave and one off of Highway 64. Actually, both of those were off Highway 64. And
where is that Hancock Cave? Is that over where is there a quarry over there now?
I'm not sure. There was one of them.
Maybe York Road. No?
Yeah, that may be. And there's one right there right to the left on Highway 64 as you're going out of town up toward Ocoee.
I've heard about that my whole life, and I've never been there.
I think they've got them maybe both blocked off now, but we spent.
Was it big in there?
One of them was supposedly enough space in there, enough area that it came out in Polk County somewhere. We never went that far, but we did some exploring in the
Boy, that
caves.
ought to be something somebody looks into.
Yeah, but I don't know that I know they've got probably both of them blocked off now.
Now that would be a good story, fiction story.
Yeah, to be in the cave.
Yeah, come out at another county.
Right.
Because that would be a long ways.
Yeah. And that fits in with the superstitions and so forth, and the fact that a lot of that area out there, the superstitions are in the Superstition Mountains, about 50 miles from Phoenix. And I don't want to get too far into it because you just started it.
Now,
But
50 miles from Phoenix, you're thinking of a real place like
it's a real
like
place.
Scottsdale, or where would that be? Would that be close, like between Phoenix and
I think
Tucson?
I think it's due. The Superstitious Mountains are due almost east, I believe, of Phoenix.
So that'd be like between. I think that's where Mike Tyson lives close to there.
It may be, but there's all kinds of caves there that supposedly folklore says that the Apache or the Indians back years and years ago could go into one place and come out way
I've got
somewhere
that
else.
far in the book where
Okay.
it's talking about
Yeah,
that.
I don't want to get too
Yeah,
far
yeah.
into it because you've not read
Yeah.
all of that, but there's a lot of things there in Superstition Mountains that are folklore, and maybe not just folklore, maybe true too.
Is there
but,
anything that you know in the past that's been folklore but ended up being true? Because I wonder if some things, sometimes if maybe folklore is not that far off.
I'd say a lot of folklore that we've looked at over the years and heard about. I think a lot of it has been based, if it's not completely true, at least based on things that really have happened.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a.
Do you get into any conspiracy theories?
My books are pretty much conspiracy theory operated, and I do. I think a lot of what I write is based on sometimes a conspiracy theory there, particularly those middle books. But a lot of them are based on really something that happened and maybe exaggerated some now, but a lot of what people label as conspiracy theories probably are in reality conspiracies that the opposition has
Yeah,
labeled
yeah.
as fake.
Yeah, an actual conspiracy theory could be an actual conspiracy to create a theory. Maybe it's that far into it.
Yeah.
Now, coming up with the names, that would be a real challenge. What do you name the book?
Good. That's a good question, Dee. There.
8,300 words, and you have to decide on two.
Right. The first thing you could, and some titles come to authors before they ever write it, before they ever start writing a book. Other ones, they may get halfway through it and decide, now that I've in this far, this would be a good title. Sometimes you may get completely through with it before you decide on the title. And I've done all three of them. Okay, comes the awakening because of the statue called The Awakening was one of my key points. I knew what I was going to call it before I ever started it. Echoes of Skeletons Past. I didn't know originally what I was going to call that one. And as I got into it, started it, then it came to me that I liked that title for what the story is. And you've not read any of that one, I don't think at all. It's set in the mountains. That's several of mine are, but it's in the Rocky Mountains, and there are caves there that have a lot of that they've discovered bones from extinct animals, dinosaurs,
Mastodons or something.
yeah. So as I got into that, I decided that's what I wanted to call that. The one that I'm writing now, and like you alluded to earlier, is talked about a new series. I'm about probably 2/3 of the way through it, and I'm not really decided what I want to call it yet. So a title can come to you at any stage. You can base the book on the title itself, which is almost what I did with Comes the Awakening, Echoes of Skeletons Past, and most of these other ones, I decided as I got into the story, what I wanted to call them. The one I'm working on right now, I've not really decided what I want to call it yet. I've not really thought a lot about it. I'm not happy with the one I'm doing right now in the sense that I'm just doing it in spurts and pieces because I'm doing so much editing that I'm not spending any time on my own writing right now. I've got.
You ever thought about giving up the editing?
Well, I would, but it it pays me better than the writing, and right now I've got a pretty good following. In fact, I've got 10 books lined up that I've got to do right now. That's one right after the other.
Won't that take a while? Like 3 or 4 months or 5?
That what I've got now will take me through the middle of January, depending on the number of words. And
So you're reading all day. You're reading their work, obviously.
I'm reading their work and making corrections as I go, and suggestions. When I edit, then obviously the author, if you were the author and you handed me something and said, check this, I would say, this would be better here.
Is this your only hobby? Is this your pastime?
It for the most part is. Now I still like to. I won't say run, but exercise some. Although the last 2 years since I got the COVID shots, my exercising has gone to pot. I ended up with AFib and ended up with asthma for the first time in my life after I took the.
You think maybe?
Well, within 2 weeks, I'd been running 3 to 5 miles a day, about 4 or 5 times a week. And within 2 weeks after taking the shot, I couldn't run a quarter of a mile. So
Are you back to going now?
I'm back to doing 3 to 4 to 5 miles, but it's not continuous running. It's
Now that could just be taking off a while and not running or something.
well, it was. Until I took the shot, I was continuously running and was in pretty good
so
shape.
it's not like you got COVID and blah, blah, blah.
No, but I took the shots and then still was trying to do stuff, and within 2 weeks, I went downhill.
Now I forgot about that. You have ran for years, haven't you?
Yeah,
You were a track coach.
some, but not a lot at Bradley. I did some cross country at one time up there until I started coaching. We started a girls softball team, fast pitch softball. That was a first fast pitch team in Bradley County, and we started it at Bradley.
Do you think when you run like that 5 miles, I mean that is an absolute remarkable distance running. I mean, it really is. I ride bicycles. I rode 48 miles Saturday.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, but with cycling, you get it's probably more intense half the time, and it's probably more easier half the time. So So I'm gonna say 5 miles running is probably the equivalent to 35 miles on the bike or
Probably,
something
and
like that.
I've done both.
Did you cycle?
Yeah, we've in fact talking about Joe Adams and several of us, 3 or 4 of us, for about 5 straight years. As soon as school was out, we'd take Turner was in that. We'd take off and ride to Florida. One year we rode to Hilton Head.
You mean road bikes?
Road bikes,
Clipped in and everything?
Yeah.
Boy, that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it
But
is.
didn't you have to really map it out, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because
dogs and
can't
traffic.
be on interstate and all that. But
What would you ride like?
we would go about 100 miles a day.
See, I've done 100 miles in a day, and it's hard to do. You can't. I don't know how you did it the next day.
It was tough that first year anyway. But
So how long did it take to ride there?
4 days. We would get there on the 4th day. Usually,
Can you believe that,
4th or
Glenn?
5th
That
day.
is unbelievable. Well, then you didn't have as good a bikes as I've got now. I got
I'm sure
disc
we
brakes
didn't.
and everything else.
In fact, I've still got mine hanging on the garage, on the wall in the garage.
Do you ever miss cycling?
Yeah, and thought about doing it again some. Just haven't done it.
It's the most addictive thing it's probably one of the most addictive things I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's so addictive. How did you quit?
We just, I guess, just old age, and we rode a lot there for those 5 or 6 years, and we used that trip to Florida or 1 year to Hilton Head as an incentive to get in better shape in the spring. Although we'd run.
If you ride 100 miles in a day, somebody's going to be lagging.
We were pretty well
Equal?
kept up, yeah. Kept up. Got scared one time going through Atlanta. Of course, you're not on interstate, so you have to go. But and we found out Atlanta is one of the highest points around.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't have thought that. But
I
go on a
wouldn't
bicycle.
either until I.
On a bicycle, you know what gets high.
But Paul Ramsey was with us on that
Paul,
trip.
yeah.
And we were going right through Atlanta, one of those old sections of Atlanta, I guess. And pow! We thought it was a rifle shot, and it may have been Paul.
Flat
The
tire.
tire blew.
I've had that
completely.
happen. It makes scare you to death.
Yeah, and so we got that finally changed. What we would do, there would be 4 or 5. And 1 year there may have been 6 or 7 of us that rode bikes. John Chewy, Coach Chewy, and usually somebody else would drive a van and go, and we would ride bikes there, and then we'd come back. But what we would do on the way down there is we would all stay in a no-tell motel going there.
Because you're just sleeping.
Yeah, and then we'd get up the next morning, and whoever was in the van, John, whoever else, usually somebody else with him, would play golf somewhere in the morning, meet us, catch up with us about noontime, make sure everything was all right, and then would go ahead of us.
And book the room or
and
something.
book a room for us, and then meet us and tell us.
Because there wasn't any cell phones then, I guess,
No,
right? But when you rode in Cleveland, where did you ride?
A lot of places. We took trips down to Dalton. We took trips to Chattanooga. A lot of these outlying areas.
Upper River Road, Lower River Road, that sort of.
Those kind of places.
So for 5 years, you pretty well cycled constantly?
Yeah, we ran a lot. In fact, we ran some marathons back then.
Aren't you maybe, Coach Turner, didn't he have bad knees?
He still does somewhat.
Wonder why he got bad knees and you didn't.
I don't know. Just genetics, I guess.
Because you ran as much as he did, I guess, or close, right?
Yeah, probably so. Yeah. But we used to run a lot. A typical day would be a 5-miler, but when we were training for a marathon, we would run 20-milers, just out different areas. And sometimes we would map out where we wanted to go, and we'd go and put us out some water there off the road somewhere so we could hydrate some as we were running. But those were good times. I'd like to be able to do that again.
I got bit by a dog 3 weeks ago. Had to go
Did you?
Had to go get a tetanus shot and everything. Yeah.
I carried dog spray with me.
Yeah.
I remember once there was a dog that was chasing us, a big German Shepherd somewhere. And Joe Adams was with us riding that day. And he was behind me, and that dog was about to catch him. He said, "Shoot that thing with that." He didn't have the stuff.
Oh, yeah, you sprayed him. I've been there.
I said, "You're right behind him." He said, "I don't care, spray that thing." And I got him some too, but I got the dog. But
It'll stop them.
Yeah, it'll stop them.
And they won't bother the next rider.
No,
Forever.
they pretty well
Yeah.
go. But we had good times there, and we stayed pretty well in shape. with that. But the marathons, we would always consider the first 20 miles in a marathon is the first half of it, and then the last 6.2 or whatever it is the last half of the race. And
Do you think that the mind, once it's wore out, do you think the mind can make the body go on?
it's a whole lot of mental situations. Yeah.
What about when you're just out of breath? How can you get over the out of breath?
Well, you may have to just stop and walk a little until you can recover some, but
On a bike, though, you can't do that when you're trying to keep up.
no, if you're trying to keep up, you feel like you got to coast. And what we've always said was that if we were running or if we were on a bike or whatever, if somebody has to stop, we would all stop. But the bikes, we would take breaks there. One curious thing, Paul Ramsey went with us, but Paul Cretton went with us one year too, and we were somewhere down on, I don't know, 431 or somewhere down in Alabama, and we passed this women's prison, and they were all out in the yard.
They didn't know how old you were because you had your helmet on.
Right, we drove by and they were all yelling and all this kind of stuff. But we stopped somewhere, and there was a little lake there with a dock that set out in front of it. We out there swimming, and we said we're going to cool off and jump in there and swim a little. And then somebody came and got us out of there, and they said, "You don't want to be swimming there. There's some crocodiles in there."
Lord.
So we were kind of careful then where we jumped in, if we were there. But those were good times with Turner and Joe. And
Would you like riding bikes or running better?
When I was in really good shape, I liked them both. They were different. You cover them a lot more territory, obviously, on a bicycle.
A little more preparation with riding a bike. You got tires and
Right. Yeah.
helmets and stuff. Running, you can just take your gym shorts.
Yep. Pair of gym shorts on and shoes. And
So which one did you like the most?
when I was in really good shape, I probably liked the running better.
Why is that?
I don't know. It was more challenging. I felt like, but I felt better after a good run than probably I did after a good bicycle ride. And I say I felt better, and it's probably psychological. Psychologically, I felt like I'd done better or done more if I'd had a good run as opposed to riding a bicycle.
That's interesting because when I get through riding, I really feel good. If you could if you could put that in a pill,
oh yeah,
it's unbelievable.
You're right.
So you even felt better after jogging than that, maybe?
They both were good if you did that, but I always felt probably more tired, I guess, from the running when we ran distances along than I did on the bike, because you can always coast some on a bike and
You get a little wind, wind.
Yeah.
But what about running up? Did you run uphill like Baker Bridge Road? Would you run up it?
Oh yeah, we went. In fact, Turner and I don't remember, Joe, I guess it was with us too. I don't remember where anybody else was or not. We decided we were going to run up Chilhowie Mountain one year, and we did that. We parked at the bottom there and ran up the mountain.
I
there.
rode up it,
and took us a while going up, and it was tough. Coming back down, we probably set a record for our pace.
Coming down Chilhowie is not just the safest thing in the world either.
No.
Is it? See, on a bicycle, you're like this.
Right. Yeah. We
guy I ride with, he come down at like 63 miles an hour. I thought,
Wow,
that's just stupid.
that's
And I
fast.
go down it at 43, and we get down there at, he gets there 6 seconds before me. What's the point?
Right, yeah. That even 43 is fast.
Yeah,
on a
and I'm
bicycle.
I'm exaggerating.
But that's pretty
More like
fast.
35 probably.
Yeah, but those days were good. I wish I could feel like that again, you know. But
You probably can.
no, I can't either anymore. Not with the asthma, and I've got the AFib under control now, I think. But I've still got asthma. First time in my life I had that after I had the shots there. But I still try to do something. Either walk. I usually walk and run some during. I run some, like if I go to the Greenway, and I do that a lot. I'll park at Cook's there and go north, and it's a 2.4 miles to the end of the Greenway up there, and I'll usually walk up there, and then coming back, I'll try to run. Now I can't run it all
Like
without stopping now.
Just
but,
do some intervals or
yeah,
something.
Yeah.
Does Turner Jackson does he do much now?
He rides his bike a lot, and he still plays basketball some. And he plays pickleball, but I don't know that he does a lot of running now because of his knees, probably more than anything else. But he's still
That's one thing about cycling. It's not bad on your knees.
right. Yeah, yeah. It's a good sport. There used to be this one. We're talking about dogs chasing you. Going out Dalton Pike, there was one big German Shepherd that was out there on the right that always got after us.
Man, I tell you what, they can hit your spokes, and it's just it's a horrible thing.
Right. Do you carry some spray with you?
The guy I'm with does. I buy it
Okay.
and he sprays it.
Okay. And it'll work, you know, if you can get it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
it used to be, it's not as bad now, I don't think. Of course, I don't do as much running in neighborhoods and out in the country as I used to. But I think more people keep their dogs restrained now than what they used to.
I've been bit twice. I was against spraying them till I got bit the first time. And then you just got to do it.
Yeah.
And you're really helping them because they're out in front of a car or something.
Right, you know, you hope what you do will
Yeah.
teach them that they don't want to do that again. I've gotten bit never did break my skin 3 times out on the Greenway from people with the dog on
Oh,
their
Lord.
leash.
Yeah.
And
That's
they say,
crazy.
Yeah, and they say it'll never bother you, don't bother you, and then next thing you know,
There's a reason why insurance companies don't want you to have dogs
yeah,
because they've seen that too many.
yeah,
Do you ever get to writing and stay up till 2 or 3 in the morning?
oh yeah, I do that pretty often. Now I still try to read a lot, and most of the time I'll read at night, right before I go to bed.
So you have to read. You have to write your stuff. You're reading to edit,
Right,
and you're
trying to read
trying
some.
to read for entertainment.
Yeah.
Is it easy to keep all the stories separate?
Usually, yeah. It's sometimes if they're now when I edit in a lot of different genres and fiction
Yeah.
and nonfiction both, but they don't overlap as much in what I'm wanting to do here. But the writing I don't usually do late at night because I'm tired and just don't feel creative,
Yeah.
I guess. But the reading then is just rather than watching TV late at night. I almost don't, unless I'm watching a ball game or one of 2 or 3 series that's on the History Channel. Mostly, I almost never turn the TV on anymore.
You ever get writer's block?
Oh yeah, yeah.
How do you get over it?
You may have to just set something aside for a few days, or just start writing and realize that what you're writing may not be the what you end up with on that particular chapter or whatever.
Get past that.
Just get past the point of getting something on the paper.
And then come back.
Yeah, come back and may end up throwing away that whole thing. But usually most of the time I have an idea of where I'm going next in a story. You get, and something unique about writing, once you get to a certain point in a story and writing it, if you've got engaging characters, which you hope they are, then they almost take over the story and do the writing. And you just write down where they want to go, basically. And that may not make sense to somebody that's not written.
No, well, it's really coming from you, but you're not consciously.
Right. You know, you're almost letting that character write it for you, you know, in his tone, his voice. And at that point, it becomes a lot easier to write because you're not having to say, now, what would he do next? And if you just kind of turn it over to him, basically, then he tells you what he'll do next, you know. And sometimes it's not what you thought it was going to be.
Do you think if Shakespeare came out now with his books that they would be popular? Or was it just kind of written for the time?
It was for the time. I don't think... well, a lot of his would still be pretty popular, but not as many people... Back then, people didn't have access to books. They just had to go and watch plays and those kinds of things. So he had almost a captive audience if people wanted.
A lot of people couldn't even write.
Right. They couldn't write or read, a lot of
Same
people.
way with Mark Twain, I guess.
And Mark Twain, the people that would have a problem selling today would be people like Charles Dickens and those kind of people that just spent page after page after page description and without any action in it, then
Because people then had maybe a longer attention span, maybe.
definitely
little
longer
more
extension
patient.
and didn't have the distractions
Yeah.
that we've got now. You know, if I don't enjoy reading this chapter, I can I can close it down, turn on the TV, or get on my computer and go to
Back
Facebook.
then, they would go sit on the porch for 2 hours on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. Do that, and maybe go out and I start saying they didn't have to go out and do a lot of walking because their work kept them in shape, and they could.
Yeah.
It was just
Right,
a rest
yeah.
time for them, but. There's too many distractions now from reading that if you don't enjoy a story, then you're not going to spend an hour reading a description, description after description after description. Now, so people like Charles Dickens and some of those would have a hard time selling today.
I believe so. I believe you're right. I believe even Mark Twain would.
Mark, although he had some humor, he would
do better than Shakespeare.
Yeah, he
I
would do
think.
a lot better than some of those other people would be. Yeah.
I believe you're going to be a success in this book writing, just like you have been as an athlete and as a school teacher.
Well, I appreciate that. It's you get to a point where you're writing for yourself almost because you're not going to, unless somebody somewhere with a big name gets a book and decides, hey, I'm going to say something about this on TV or something here, then the chances of you doing well with it are not good. You do some, and I do some advertising through Facebook and through Amazon, but not a lot. It's like I said, I spend most of the time editing now, and I've got one other series started that I'm probably 2/3 of the way up on that story.
On the first book.
On the first book in that series, yeah. Bronco Slade is the guy.
Bronco Slade.
And Abby Malone is his cohort, yeah. hopefully they'll turn out to be pretty good characters.
Well, I'm enjoying this one, and I'm gonna keep reading it till I get done. And I like the paper. To me, that's important. I don't like the jackets. The
Okay, yeah.
jackets. I don't want to annoy it. I like the fact that it's together. Doc Hollywood, he's a friend of yours.
Yeah.
I had him here last week or week before. I really like him. I grew up with him.
Yeah, I saw your interview with him, and he called me and said that you were going to be.
He's a big
calling
fan
me.
of yours.
And we had a reunion out at Taylor's 3 years ago, I want to say now, and he was in charge of setting that up and did that.
He's
And,
smart, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's very
and
smart.
I knew Greg too.
I didn't know Greg.
His brother.
Yeah.
Probably knew him better than I did
Doc.
Doc. Some say Paris Doc.
He's Doc like you're CK.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a good guy. And he did a good interview with you.
He really did. People really enjoy it.
Yeah.
People will enjoy this one.
Well, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, buddy. I'm very excited today. I've got the legendary Scotty Mayfield of Mayfield Dairy. And if you've been anywhere and drunk a glass of milk, you know that Mayfield's milk is the best there is. And I'm going to really enjoy this discussion. So, Scotty, I thought it would be fitting that we drunk some Mayfield Dairy Farms whole milk vitamin D.
Well, it's good.
Did you drink D or did you drink the 2%?
Actually, I drink our 1% Nurture. It's got 2 probiotics in it, Lactobacillus acidophilus and Bifidobacterium, and they are still viable. The Lactobacillus in our small intestines and the Bifido in our large intestines, and our intestines and our skin are all a part of our immune system, and so it helps keep that balanced and happy. And
Does it taste any different?
because of the bacteria that's in it, it gives it a little bit of a mouthfeel, so the 1% actually tastes about like 2%. I mean, this is whole milk, so this is the best of the best.
I like this.
I have people that will tell me that they go on vacation and, oh, I went to this farm and I drank some milk, just from, whole milk from a cow.
Yeah.
It was so good. I said, what are you drinking at home? I said, they sell skim milk. I said, well, if you go to the store and buy some whole milk, you'll be pretty happy about it.
On the courthouse square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland-Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
I don't know why people would drink skim milk when they could drink whole milk.
Well, we got talked into that fat was bad.
I don't believe that.
Well, you're correct. I mean, it's not bad.
No.
I mean, there's some fats that we have created that are not good for us, but natural fats are not the culprit. And what happened as a food industry, when somebody convinced the world that fat was bad, the food industry took it out and they replaced it with sugar. And sugar's a lot worse than fat.
A lot of work. You know, if you eat some sugar, I feel lethargic and bloated.
Right.
But if I drink a glass of milk, I feel calm and full.
It's good stuff. I mean, it really is good.
You know what I do in the mornings? I'm probably the only one in the world that does this, but I put, instead of eating breakfast, I put a scoop of oatmeal, uncooked, in a glass and put a little handful of raisins in it, throw some cinnamon on it, and pour about 20 ounces of whole milk. And I'm good till lunch.
Well, I take some oatmeal and pour hot water on it, let it sit. I usually go to the Y and I come back. And then I pour some heavy cream on it, not a lot, about 2 tablespoons, and microwave it and sprinkle some, a little bit of cinnamon and sugar mix like you put on toast. Not a lot, a little bit. And then my wife has canned blueberries.
Oh, I love blueberries.
And I'll get some of those canned blueberries and put them on it. And that's my breakfast, and it's really good.
So sometimes I do blueberry. I have done blackberries and raspberries,
Right.
but if you have raisins, you always got raisins, and they don't have to worry about them keeping because they're.
Right. Well, we've got plenty of blueberries because my wife canned a bunch of them. So
Blueberries are a fall fruit, right? Don't they come out about this time?
no, they're usually June, July, depending on the bush, but they're usually June, July. So as far as harvest.
So she plants specifically blueberry bushes?
We have some. We lost them last year. We got some coming. We're going to replant them, but something got in. I don't know what happened. I don't know if we put some bad mulch around them or whatever. But we lost about. We probably had about 20, and we lost them, and so we're going to start over. So.
Does she pick each blueberry off? I guess
we
that's
do.
a lot of work.
I mean, I'll go pick them. I'll pick them. She cans them. So.
Canning's an art. You can mess that up.
It is an art, but it's. I mean, she was a kind of a city girl, and when she first, my grandmother Shadow taught her how to can, and when she first started, when we were first married, and she was canning, her mother just panicked because back then, or her mother remembers some of the canning didn't have the safety valve on it and didn't have as good, and they had explosions and problems. And so she was all worried about her. But if you watch what you're doing and you get it up to about 10 pounds and watch it for about, I think it's 15 minutes. I mean, I think she canned, 60 cans of green beans this year.
Golly.
And she canned, we froze corn. We cut it off the cob and froze it. Some of it we froze on the cob, and it wasn't too bad. And then we shelled some peas that we had.
You freeze any okra?
We take okra and tomatoes and onions and make a stew, and then we freeze that.
What do they call that? A stew starter? I think that's what the old timers used to call it, a stew starter. Yeah. Well, that's good, isn't it? With some salt.
I think it's great. Yeah.
I like my soup like that with a little too much salt. Real salty.
Well, she doesn't add a lot of salt, but you can always add salt.
What about homegrown tomatoes?
We do tomatoes, yeah.
Well, you can't beat a homegrown.
She'll can a lot of tomatoes and then bring them back out to make soup.
Yeah.
Her best soup is she makes a chicken vegetable soup, carrots, potatoes, celery, and chicken. And she'll cook a whole chicken and sit it over and let it cool off a little bit, and then take that broth and put the potatoes in, cook them for a little while, and then put the carrots in, then put the celery in.
Full celery is
and when
good
it's
in
all
soups.
good, then she'll put the chicken, she'll debone it and take a pair of scissors and cut it up. And if you're sick, it'll get you well. I'm sure that's not scientific, but it sure is good.
It'll work.
Yeah, and she likes to serve it over rice. She's big on rice.
just regular white rice.
Yeah.
My grandmother used to make it, or not, she would make it with, I don't think she put chicken in it, but she would put spaghetti in it. Like, and that, she said it made it go further.
Well, that
But-
would do it,
but-
yeah, sure.
But nowadays, that's, to me, that's really something. Speaking of grandmothers, my grandmother here, she wrote some poems. She was a pretty good poet, and she grew up on a dairy farm.
Oh, cool.
And I want to give you this.
All right,
But
I'll read it. I've just finished the book, so I need another
it's
one
just
to read.
it's light reading. She was a dairy farmer. I guess Mayfield Milk came by and picked it up. I guess I don't
Probably
know.
so, yeah.
I mean, if it was on Bates Pike in Cleveland.
I would not. That would not surprise me. The only thing that I never did, that I wish I had done when I was growing up and working different jobs at Mayfield, is I never wrote all of our routes to pick up the milk. And I think that would have been very interesting and informative to know
Yeah.
where all of it came. And it's funny, we have so many fewer dairy farms than we used to have, but we got the same amount of cows.
Now that's interesting.
So the dairy farmers that are left are bigger. So many of them are going to these robotic milkers, which are really, they're really fabulous because they let the cows milk themselves sometimes 3, sometimes 4 times a day.
However much they want, I guess, right?
Right. And the other thing is, the worst thing you can do to a cow, as far as her udder, is when she quits giving milk, is to leave that milker still on her udder. And these robotic machines can sense that, and they take it off as soon as the milk quits coming out of the cow. But to be able to milk 3 times a day, I mean, we always knew that milking cows 3 times a day would produce more milk. It's better for the cow, but it was just labor-wise, it was hard to do. But with these robots, they do it easily.
It brings a question up. That I always talk about a 3-legged milking stool.
Right.
Why do they always have 3 legs, wonder? A
Well,
milking stool.
if it's uneven ground that you're on, 3 legs always become some stability. But
Like a
I've
tripod.
seen, we used to have a milker, and it was funny. You would strap it on, and it had a seat, and it had a shaft and a spring. So it had just one shaft and a spring.
So it would level you up, I guess.
But you just sit on it. I mean, you wore it. And so but that is, I mean, it's been a long time since we've gone from cow to cow to cow milking. Probably in the 60s, we built a milking parlor that had a pit. So when you're standing up, you're at the height of the cow's udder.
like an oil changing machine, I guess.
Pretty much. And you'd have a cows on one side and cows on the other side. These cows you would be washing and preparing, and these cows would be milking. Then when you take the milkers off, you'd you'd rinse them and put them on these cows. Then you would, there was a dip in their teats and finishing them up and let them go, and they'd go eat some hay or silage or whatever they had out for them.
Now your grandfather, B.F. Mayfield, is that right?
No, now that you said that, Bryant Mayfield was my grandfather, and his sons were Thomas and my 2 aunts, Sally and Imogene, and Scott had 4 children. And T.B. Mayfield is what we always knew him at. I didn't know him. He passed away when my father was 12 and my uncle was 18. And business was very small. It was mostly ice cream then, and they hired a fellow by the name of Tom Harrison to run the business. And then World War II comes along, and they both served in the Navy. And after the war, it was like, okay, what are we going to do now? Well, let's do this milk business and ice cream business. And that was really the big beginning, because those two guys were the ones that really grew it and made it big. I mean, my grandfather, his first dairy, of course, he's milking by hand, bottling the milk, and he had he had a little building with a concrete trough in it, and he had a water ram and a spring that pumped water through this concrete trough, and he could sit a milk can in it, 10-gallon milk can, or a quart, or a pint. It was stair-stepped. So he could sit that in there, and the water would be up to here. And this milk, when you got it out of the refrigerator, it was probably 38 degrees, and spring water's just 56. So that's what they had. I mean,
Well, that was cool enough,
Yeah.
to keep it.
Well, they would keep it for 3 or 4 days, but not much longer than that.
But where did he get the idea? Hey, let's go to these other. But I mean, when he was making ice cream, did he call it Mayfield ice cream in the beginning?
Yeah, it was. The farm was originally Live Oak Farms, and then when he built a milk plant in Athens, Tennessee, in 1922, so he could pasteurize milk. But the main reason he built that plant was so that he could separate the milk into cream and skim. Up until that time, he was just selling the milk that came out of the cows.
Just to
he tried
neighbors
everything.
or something?
No, he sold it. I mean, he had enough cows. They had routes and what have you. And
He was delivering milk.
Yeah, he was delivering milk.
Like on Andy Griffith.
That's right. And then he started making ice cream. And my grandmother, she spoke at Kiwanis one time, and I recorded it, and then I had it typed up. But she told all these stories about all the different things that he had tried as a farmer. And one of the funniest ones, she said one year he decided he was going to have some, fatten up some heifers. So he got some feeder calves in there, and he fattened them up all the year, and then he shipped them back off. And she said when we got the check back for what we had sold them for, we figured that we had made the manure that they had left behind. And everybody laughs, but she was dead serious. But when he made ice cream, what's crazy is, he had a freezer, and he was making batch ice cream in a metal can. I still got one of those metal cans, and we use it as an umbrella holder, but it's got Mayfield Creamery. And when he built that new plant, he called it Mayfield Creamery. And but he would make that ice cream and pack it in ice and salt for a week before he would serve it. I mean, it was really homemade ice cream, and it was soft serving.
So he would do the crank and...
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I think he had a mechanical machine, but still,
the principle.
It was a principle. And he, so it was 4th of July, and he went to sell the ice cream, and he came home early that afternoon, and my grandmother said, I thought something was wrong. He was home so early. But he had sold out of ice cream, and she said, we stayed up till I don't know how late, counting the pennies and nickels and dimes that he collected. She said that's the first time he'd ever really made any money farming, you know. And so that was
that was making thing. Ice cream.
Yeah, yeah. and see, when their father died, and after the war, when they started the business back, it was probably 80% ice cream and 20% milk. And Tom, my uncle, went to the big dairy show in Atlantic City with the plans of buying new ice cream equipment. And he came home and he said, everybody there, every big dairy in America is building a new ice cream plant. We need to build a new milk plant. And so that's when we built the plant that opened in 1955 in Athens, right there where we are now. And because it was so modern, our milk had a longer life. It was just really clean, and we did a good job with the plant. And so our code life would last longer than other brands. And it seemed like every spring when it warmed up and the milk had to go through the store to home and everything, our milk just made it through that better. And we'd have a 25% increase in sales. It seems like every year for a number of years.
Because if you're a grocery store owner, you keep throwing this milk out, right? Or
Well,
people
they
bring
don't,
it
they're
back?
not the ones that throw it out. It goes bad at the consumer.
Oh,
It's the consumer. And the consumer, if you give the consumer a bad product, they'll give you another chance. But they won't give you many. So if you go and you pay your hard-earned money for milk and you get it home and it spoils on you, you're going to find another brand. And we benefited from that because our milk did not spoil as quickly as some of our competitors.
And you think it was because of the modern machines at that
no
time?
question. And we had, it's all about temperature and cleanliness. If you have a clean facility and a clean plant, clean equipment, and you keep the milk really cold, it's just going to last a long time.
Pasteurization extended that, right? Or
Well,
originally?
Not so much. I mean, pasteurization is really about killing the germs if the cow had a cold. That's really all it is.
And it really is just what? Heating it up, letting it cool down is about basically what it
Heat
is?
it up. These days, well, I think we eat it to about, I think it's like 170 or something, and hold it for 22 seconds. I don't remember the exact numbers, but we heat ours a little hotter and then keep it a little longer. It gives it actually a little cook flavor. Mm-hmm. But that's killing the germs. It's not sterilizing it. It'll still spoil, but it's killing the germs if the cow had any kind of a situation.
So the pasteurization is not necessarily what makes it last longer.
It's more of the refrigeration.
I see.
think. I mean, that's keeping it cold is the key.
You know, when you were scheduled to come here last time and Gwen had his knee surgery, I bought some milk, put it in the refrigerator, and I forgot about it. And it was about 2 days old. I drank it anyway. It didn't hurt me a bit.
Well, it should last probably 7 days past the date that's stamped on it. It all depends on how well it's been kept cold.
If I'd known that, I wouldn't give that other one to the cat. Boy, cats love milk, don't they?
Well, yeah, don't blame them. Yeah.
Now, where do you think your grandfather got the idea? Because homemade ice cream is a more thinner, soft serve, whereas Mayfield's is thicker and creamier.
Well, I mean, when you make homemade ice cream like he did in the early 20s and 30s, the equipment you had to make it was not much different than making it at home. I mean, basically, you've got a cylinder, and you've got ice and salt, and the salt makes the ice super cold, okay? And so that mix that you put in there freezes to the wall of that container, and then you've got dashers, we call them, some people call them knives, and when you crank it, basically what it's doing is it's scraping that frozen ice cream mix off, and really it's whipping air into it. And we have a term we call overrun, which is if you take a gallon of mix and you make 2 gallons of ice cream, that's 100% overrun. So you've added as much air as you had mixed. And you can't, you can have 100% overrun ice cream and that's still legally ice cream. But it's not as creamy as you'd like it to be. So our overrun ranges from probably the highest is around 85% and the lowest is around 65%, depending on which product and what we're doing. But you've got to put the ingredients in there. You've got to get, we have an advantage because we're in the milk business and we have fresh cream. Our cream comes from across the room. I mean, we're just coming off of the separator straight into a cream tank that's refrigerated, and we're making ice cream out of it the next day. So that really gives us a little bit of an advantage. I tell people the best 2 flavors of ice cream that we make are vanilla and chocolate. And I say that because once you can do that, you can make anything else.
Yeah,
Because all you got to do is add strawberries or add a flavor or add pecans or add
Oreos.
That's right. And so anybody can make really good ice cream. You just got to try to do it. I mean, you got to put the ingredients in there.
Well, you can't make homemade ice cream that good. It's just you can't get it thick enough.
No, it's homemade ice cream is more. But I got to tell you, we cannot make as good a peach ice cream as you can at home. But then
Peaches are
again-
different for some reason.
Well, the other part of it is homemade ice cream is never frozen hard, okay? So when we make ice cream and we put it in the carton, it's 22 degrees. And it's like soft serve, like if you got a soft serve cone. Then we harden it like a brick. And we try to do that really fast. We have special freezers that take the ice cream from plus 22 degrees to minus 20 degrees in about an hour and a half. And the reason we do that, the faster you harden ice cream, the smaller the ice crystals and the smoother the texture. Now the creaminess, that's all about having enough cream in there and solids and all the ingredients that you need to have to make it a really good mix. But if you make homemade ice cream, it never gets hardened. I mean, you could save it and put it in your freezer. You could put it in your own freezer, but your own freezer's not made to freeze it that hard, that quick, and so you're going to have all kinds of big ice crystals. Sometimes if you dip it at home and it thaws out and you put it back in there, you get those ice crystals.
It's just no good that way.
The best thing I tell people they need to do, when you take that top seal, don't throw it away. Lay it down, dip all the ice cream for everybody's having ice cream, then take that and press it back down on the top of the ice cream, and it'll make it last longer. You won't have any ice crystals.
Well, at our house, we just don't even, we just eat the whole thing.
Well, we've gotten to where we have ice cream.
And they're only that big.
We have ice cream probably not every night, but a lot. And I've gotten to where I buy ice cream, those little cake cones. They're not but about that big around.
I like it, yeah.
So you can't get a whole lot in there. And with a
Oh, you're talking about at home, the cake cones.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the ones that you buy that have the little cups.
no,
Your
like a
wooden
Nutty
spoon,
Buddy.
yeah.
I mean, you can, but we buy ice cream cones to dip our ice cream into. If you have a saucer, you can cram it down in there and put too much in it. With a cake cone, you can't do that. It'll crumble on you. So that's how we control how much we eat.
Do you think people back in after the war, they're different? Did they have different flavors of ice cream than we have now, or was it less flavors?
Oh, much less. Well, back then you had vanilla chocolate, and if you wanted something really exotic, you'd have strawberry.
Or Neapolitan. Remember when Neapolitan came out?
Right, and then we would have butter pecan was one of the first big flavors. And it's funny, we had a flavor, and still have it today, of vanilla and chocolate. And our Neapolitan is kind of funny because the vanilla is in the middle. No, it's the chocolate's in the middle, I guess, because we had vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. And when we do the vanilla chocolate, we just take the strawberry out and put it in beside it.
What? That's an odd name, Neapolitan. Was that the name that it had, or was that something y'all named it?
That's a national.
That's an old name?
Yeah, I guess. We
Neapolitan?
have to research that. I never have thought about where that came from, but it is a weird name.
It's an odd name.
Yeah.
Should be like rainbow or something.
I don't know. Neapolitan.
But butter pecan is good. What would be your favorite if you had to be stuck on an island?
I'd probably eat vanilla. It's our number one seller. It's close to almost 30% everything we do. Now, we've got about 4 vanillas, but if you add them together, it's way far ahead of our second best sellers. It's 1 or 3 flavors. It's either Moose Tracks, chocolate, or butter pecan. But vanilla's king. I like it. I really like the flavor. We've got the snow cream, which is it's just like what we used to have as kids. It's not really ice cream. I mean, we make it out of our homemade ice cream vanilla mix and our popsicle mix. So it's really like snow cream, especially it's icy and everything, but if you scrape it out and get it in a bowl, you can't put it in a cone. It won't work. But if you microwave it for like 20 seconds and make it a slush,
Yeah.
it's just like what Mama used to make for us. Yeah, but vanilla, I mean, I think vanilla is not always consumed by vanilla by itself.
You thinking that's where they add other things to
Oh,
it?
sure, chocolate and fruit. I mean, I have people say, I had a guy that wanted us to make cantaloupe and vanilla ice cream.
I've had that before,
And
but not
But if we made that and we froze it really hard, that cantaloupe would turn into ice cube. And so there's just certain flavors that, especially fruit flavors, it's better to take vanilla ice cream and fresh fruit, and that's the best way I think to go.
Well, chocolate devil's food cake with vanilla ice, Mayfield's vanilla ice cream is really good, isn't it?
And a little milk to
Little
go
milk,
in.
yeah. Now, Mayfield's milk now, do y'all do some ice cream in Alabama?
We sell ice cream all over the Southeast.
Any packaging in Alabama or?
Oh, yeah.
Where
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
We, of course, we actually sold to Dean Foods in 1990. We're now owned by Dairy Farmers of America, and they're just been a great group to own us, and it's been wonderful. They know a lot about the industry, and they're cow people, and they're just good folks. But back as we were coming along, when we were a part of Dean Foods, they bought the Barber plant in Birmingham.
Oh.
And they had an ice cream plant there, but they were doing most of what they were doing there really was for Baskin Robbins. And we today, I think this is correct. I think we make I think most of it's made in Birmingham, but we make most of Baskin Robbins ice cream. Now we make it to their specifications.
Yeah.
And our people in Athens were real nervous about making Mayfield ice cream anywhere else. And the fact that they made Baskin Robbins gave our people in Athens a little bit more confidence because they could make what we make here. Now we had to make some changes to their plant because when we make a mix and we go to pasteurize that mix, we heat it up to that 80 degrees, 70, whatever it is. And instead of holding it for 22 seconds, we've got a holding tube that goes up and back our warehouse. And that hot mix is in there for 6 minutes. And that's like cooking it. That's like cooking a custard. Mm-hmm. And then we save that mix. We don't freeze that mix for 24 hours. It's just something about it, just aging it for one day just makes it better. And but we had to install some of that equipment in Birmingham so that we could get our mix, make our ice cream mix in Birmingham the same way we make our ice cream mix in Athens.
Are you proud of the fact that you're still in Athens and you were born and raised there? I'm sure you are, but.
Well, I don't know if I'm proud of it. I'm very happy to be where I am and live on the farm, and I'm happy that my son Michael has took an interest in the farm, and he's tried to do different things. He wasn't really interested in cows necessarily. When he came along, he grew some vegetables and he's done different things. But now he's into agritourism, and so he's maintaining the farm really, really well.
Agritourism, I hadn't heard of that term.
Well, he has a corn maze and a pumpkin patch, and that's what people call it, agritourism.
I see.
When people come to the farm as guests, if you will, as an entertainment. And he's got a great product. Families come there and they'll spend sometimes 4 hours and maybe not even go into the corn maze. Mm-hmm. There's just so many different activities He's got pig races.
What is it about being on a farm that gives you a peaceful feeling? Do you know what it is? It's different than being in the woods.
I don't know. Well, first thing is you can see around. I mean, it usually smells pretty good, I think. When we had cows, sometimes there was a manure smell that people didn't care for, I guess, but we don't have that.
In the woods, you're watching where you're going. You're
that's
focused
right.
on.
I don't know. I mean, he has got a lot of activities, and they're not all agriculturally oriented, but people like going on a hayride, and people like going and picking their pumpkin out. And
I bet there's a lot of stuff that they used to do back in the day that was similar to what he's doing, but that we hadn't even heard of, maybe.
Well, and there are some farms, we're not doing this, but I've heard of places where people could go and stay and work on the farm, drive a tractor or do whatever it is they need done. But you ask if I was proud. I'm glad that we've been farming that land for over 200 years. I mean, our family came from South Carolina in 1820. And
What did they do in South Carolina?
I have no idea, but when they came here, they were farmers. And, you know.
Do you have anything on the farm that dates back that long?
Well, I made 2 tables out of the front door and the back door of the original Mayfield log cabin. And the tabletop is the heart pine wood that had been painted white. And then over the years turned gray. And
Heart pine doesn't do nothing but just sit there.
It hangs in there pretty good. Yeah, it's good stuff. And so I have that.
So would that tabletop have been back in 1850 or 1830?
1820s. I mean, I had a cousin that somehow found somebody had moved the original log cabin, and they found those logs, and they were going to do something with it, and then they didn't, and they called me, and I purchased the logs from them. But when I moved the logs, I discovered, to my regret, if you will, that they had not been sheltered very well, and so they were. Most of them had decayed, and they were not useful. We ended up building a little bitty log building just to have, preserve them. And then I had those 2 doors that I just kind of.
What did the doors look like?
Well, they had locks, big key locks in them.
Have a Z-bar or what?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, no, they're just straight. I guess on the bottom,
the slats glued together, maybe.
No, they're just put together. I mean, maybe they are glued because when I sanded them off, so there was still some white paint, still a little bit of the old gray, and a little bit of the heart pine showing through, and then I put a finish on them. They made great tabletops. One of them I had to cut off because it was probably 4 feet wide, and I didn't need but about a 40-inch wide.
Well, I bet it's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good stuff, and it stays straight.
You ever put any of that waka oil on it? They call it.
I've got some Wacko oil.
Wacko oil, yeah.
And it's a good penetrating oil. When I make a piece of furniture, I typically. If I want to make something really nice, I use a varnish called Waterlock. And then once I put 3 or 4 coats of that on there, I put some Johnson's Paste Wax, which they have quit making. I can't believe it. I went to a store the other day and said, I want some Johnson's Paste Wax. And they said, well, we don't carry it anymore. And I thought, that doesn't make sense. And I went online and they've quit making it. So I'll have to find another oil.
Is that one of your pastimes, furniture, old furniture?
Oh, that's what I love. Well, I mean, I don't care. I love woodworking. I mean, this sounds weird, but I was making a mushroom before I came here.
A mushroom, you mean like a flat?
I take a piece of wood on a lathe and turn it to where there's a top and a stem and a base. And then I turn more pieces where I've got a top and just a stem. And I actually put them in put them in a little thing to where I can bend them. And then when they're dry, I'll have the one, and then I'll put 2 or 3 more. So it's a cluster of mushrooms. They're cool looking, I think. And my wife's got a shop, White Street Market in Athens, and
Now that's different than wood carving, right?
oh yeah,
My uncle was a wood carver.
this is on a lathe, and for every 6 mushrooms I make, 2 of them will blow up. Because the top, you're trying to get it really, really, really. I mean, you want it to be a 1/16 of an inch or thin, and if it's green wood, if you get it real thin, when it dries, it kind of curves.
Yeah.
And it does, it
Which
really,
could look good, right?
it looks great. It's
You
cool.
paint any of them like reds and yellows? and
No, I leave them natural. I finish them with a finish. I usually spray them with lacquer because it's so easy. But yeah, they're fun to do. I do that, and I make Christmas trees.
Can you get into the shop and just get lost and just really in the zone?
Every day.
Just
Every day.
what do you listen to music while you're there?
You know, it's funny. Most of the time, I'm listening to a book. I've got
Kindle?
I've got Libby Library on my phone, and that's an app. And if you plug into Libby Library your local library card number, then you can go on there and you can get audio books on tape, I call them. And when I play it, it goes to my hearing aids. And I put earmuffs over that to cover up the machine noise, and so I listen to
Man,
books.
you're in the zone, aren't you?
Yeah.
You ever have to go back and rewind and say, I lost my place or something?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes I do that.
Yeah.
I think, I forgot.
You get to focusing
Yeah.
on what you're doing and not listening. And
So Libby Library is just like the old libraries were, where you have your Dewey Decimal thing in your card, but boy, that's a good idea. Isn't
it's
it?
great.
Why didn't we think of that?
You go on there and you can search by author. You can, if you know the name of the book. I've been listening to Tom Clancy and
I like Tom Clancy.
oh my Lord, you kind of hope none of that stuff's real, but you kind of afraid some of it might be. But anyway, that's what and I'll listen to music sometimes. My favorite music channel is Chris Christopherson.
Boy, do you remember? You ever see when he played that Sunday morning coming down when it was just him and the guitar and no other instrument? Boy, that's a masterpiece.
He's good. I've told my wife when I die, I want him to play "Why Me, Lord." He wrote that
I
song.
did that one.
That's a good song.
Chris Christopherson, boy, he is really good. He had that one song with
Rita Coolidge sang with him.
No, Willie Nelson. Was it Waylon
Waylon
Jennings and Chris Christopherson, and there was one more. Might have been Johnny Cash.
Might have been. I know he does a lot with Waylon and Willie.
Well, yeah. Are you a country western fan, music wise?
I guess not. I mean, I like popular music, rock and roll, the old rock and roll music and stuff like that. But I mean, if I'm listening to, if I go to Pandora, there it is. That's you know.
It was the Eagles, wasn't it?
That's way away. But see, on this, I got to turn that off because it's singing to me. So, but Chris Christopherson is, he has a lot. I mean, he even has a few Eagles songs on his station. I'm sure he's picked who and what songs and all that kind of stuff. And he's written a lot of them.